weekend off, so.
Yeah, but then you could at least see and you can get there.
Do you have any luck?
It's going live to YouTube right now, so we will see.
Okay.
So it's live now. Oh, okay,
Yep.
we can
You
hear.
got it?
Everybody should be good. Sorry for the technical difficulty, but I think we're back on and everybody should be able to hear now as well.
You're looking for a motion to approve the committee reports? So
That is correct.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Midge. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
They got it.
License applications, you got a couple, Aaron?
Okay, so and this is kind of a two-part deal here. So we have Christine Rule, who owns Teams Holdings LLC, which is 504 3rd Street, also known as the Lux Loft. She is applying for the city's last Class B license. This will be at 504 3rd Street. It's kind of her event venue. Okay. It's kind of her event venue that she does catering at. She's planning on expanding and doing like Easter brunch, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and then kind of private event rentals. So if, let's say the Packers are in town and she wants to rent out her space for that, she can also have a cash bar there with them, have an appetizer party or do that kind of stuff with it. She doesn't plan on operating like you and I would think of as like a normal bar, right? Like Off the Hook or like Hotel Stebbins that she has now. So that being said, she can do this right now the way that her current license sits because at 201 Steel Street, which is also Hotel Stebbins, because it's within like eye shot of her current premise, she can include that location in her current license description. But what she's really trying to do is establish a separate business entity for that. So what she's looking to do is apply for a Class B license for that, for Teens Holdings at 504 3rd, and then break off that part of her current license for 201 Steel Street that includes that 504 3rd. So they're two separate licenses. This would take up the last license that we have available. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the Teens Holding Class B license for 504 3rd, and then also do a premise amendment for 201 Steel Street.
I have a question here.
Sure.
When she rents this out, will she still have to serve the alcohol or will the venue be able to do it?
The venue,
So Scott rents it out for a birthday
Yep.
party, can Scott have an open bar?
no,
Okay.
nope, Scott cannot bring once you have that license there, Scott could not bring
She has to
in
be there or at least
Yep.
oversee it.
Licensed bartender.
a licensed operator,
Okay.
yep, but all of the alcohol, beer, wine, spirits, all of that has to be supplied by her business. It cannot be brought in by Scott's.
So this is the last license?
This is the last license that since I've been here, it's kind of been vacant. Are we hanging on to it for any business in particular? You know, I don't see any issues with doing it. It does, and she's just walking in now. It doesn't comply with our ordinance, so to speak. But if we're gonna go down that road, we could probably list 4 other ones that don't meet that day criteria. But in talking with Christine, it is her plan to have, 200, 250 events booked a year. Again, it went through the PPP, it was recommended from there. Are we just gonna hang on to it? Do we wanna use it? Does anybody know, is there maybe something else coming up the pipeline that I don't know about? But I didn't see any issues with putting this through.
Is this just a 1 year?
It is 1 year.
Okay.
And Christine is here, so if you guys have any questions for her, please feel free to ask her the questions. She probably can answer better than I can. But again, I don't have any issues with it. It's
So this is the loft that's on the second floor?
correct.
That they just had?
Yep.
And there'll be like 200 and some events, is she saying?
You'd like to book, right? But you don't wanna put the time and effort into doing the marketing and the booking if you don't have a liquor license to be able to do it.
She does have a liquor license.
She does have one now, but if you would like to establish 2 different businesses, this would be the way to do it.
The idea is that you wanna market this independent, so you can do separate things with this. And potentially, if you get the go-ahead here, my understanding is, then you're gonna go ahead and invest into it to see what you can do and see where it goes from here, correct?
Yes, I've had the leisure as of now of multi-using the liquor license at the hotel because the building's within sight of the hotel and it's under the umbrella of Rural Enterprises. Unfortunately, that isn't always gonna be the case, I don't think. And so I think for me, it's really important to know that I have a business plan in place that I would like to engage in and see where it goes. And if it's not successful, I'm not gonna sit on a liquor license. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and host 10 events for the year and pay for a liquor license. That obviously is not something I would do, but it also takes a lot of time and energy and money to invest in truly. What I've done is limited in terms of marketing. I put it out on Facebook, I've introduced the space with an open house, I've had a handful of events, which has been really fun to do. It's a multi-use space, so I also have short-term rental options there. And then some of my short-term rentals have also turned it into an entire weekend of fun. So they also not only engage in Algoma, but one night I'll do like an hors d'oeuvre party for them. So there's been multiple different types of events. Amy would be one of them, obviously, like an hors d'oeuvre birthday party she had there. And a couple other locals have done some fun things there too. So I'm gonna do everything from like hors d'oeuvre parties to private chef events. I've done some lunch coursed meals, I've done some dinner coursed meals. Again, it's just stuff that has come to me. Hey, Christine, can you do this for us by email or phone? I've done very limited amount of effort into developing that small business at this point because I've been so engaged with what I do at the hotel. I've had the leisure of bringing on some really great staff over the last 12 months. I'm comfortable with moving forward and growing my other small business, but I'm not gonna do it without the comfort level of knowing that that is something that is backing me up, but obviously doesn't make sense. And like I told when I had my sit down with them, if you guys decide it's not the best for our community, it's not something that works for what you're hoping for with that liquor license, I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna walk away with resentment. I feel like it's a really great small business within our downtown district that's not offered right now, and could potentially be offered. So I'm okay with whatever direction you go, and I thank you for considering it, so. And I'm open to any other questions, of course.
So you're really looking to have a standalone business, so your options are, is that what I'm hearing? That's the
Absolutely.
importance of the license
For
fee?
my future,
Sure,
yeah.
I
And
get it,
it's no
totally get it.
secret that I have the hotel for sale
Yep.
within the community.
Yep.
So, and I'm not keeping it a secret, I think it's important for everybody to understand that that's just logically how my brain works.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Amy, seconded by Scott, roll call on that?
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Orr,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Meverden.
Yes.
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you, and again, if it doesn't work, I'm gonna hand it back so that it can be utilized by someone that can make it work, so I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, and the second motion that I need out of that is a premise description amendment for 201 Steel Street for Rural Enterprises LLC. We would be removing loft, bar, and dining room located at 504 3rd Street from the current license description.
So moved.
Second.
Yes, you want to roll call on that?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Moved by Wayne Schmidt, second by Amy Johnson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay, Meverden,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Orr,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Ortlieb.
Yes. Thank you.
It's a great venue. I encourage all of you to utilize it. Good luck, Christine.
Thank you.
That's my birthday.
Oh,
Oh, we know, right?
I don't see any old business. I'll get Wayne out of the door. New business. The background on tax increment District 5, the debt issuance by Jeff Belangi. Do you want to say anything, Matt?
Yes, Jeff Belangi is here. He was here about 2.5, 3 weeks ago to speak with all of us. He's been waiting patiently in my office. I apologize to him every morning, but I'm gonna turn it over to him and let him hit the highlights. There is what Jeff is gonna talk to, Moody's rating, I think everybody has in front of them. And it's also in your packet for reference. With that being said, Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity. Congratulations, first of all. We had a rating call last week, an exceptionally quick rating committee. Normally, we don't get ratings quite this fast. It takes a little longer. It's not our problem. It tends to be Moody's and Standard & Poor's in terms of getting us scheduled. But we got scheduled the day after Matt and I had our conversation, our presentation, if you will, to Moody's Investor Service for this credit. So there are two things I want to talk to you about. One in particular is to congratulate you on the credit. And Matt had pointed out that you've got Jamie was kind enough to put a copy of the credit report on your desk. So everyone should take a look at that, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about a couple of things. Wasn't that long ago, we were losing our A rating. We were being threatened that was going to get pulled. Now in the A category, there are 3 levels. You can get an A3, starting at the bottom of the A category. You can have an A2 rating, which is in the middle. You can have another upgrade in the rating as an A1. And I think if you look at on the summary, you'll see that Algoma, City of Wisconsin, in parentheses, an A1. Right? That's an excellent rating for a community of your size. Really is. And you've done some things over the last few years that have strengthened that credit. And of course, Moody's points them out. If you look at credit strengths right under the summary on the front page, you see strong liquidity and available fund balance ratios. And we have moderate long-term liabilities. So having cash in an undesignated reserve is real big in terms of an outlook on credit for a municipal government. And so you want to maintain some level of cash in that undesignated fund balance as you go forward, certainly earning interest for us. It's important to you. And it serves as a, what if something unforeseen happens where the city needs to access available cash. So it talks about liquidity and it talks about a fund balance. I think, if I recall, we're at about 1.6 million total in fund balance for our general fund purposes. Okay. If you'll scoot over to page 5 of that report, you'll see rating methodology and scorecard factors that are on that page. The highest rating anyone can get for a municipal bond or security is a AAA. Okay, so what you see Moody's has done here in terms of our methodology in the metrics, they look at economy, financial performance, leverage, institutional framework, and a few other things. And they give us an assessment based on various ratios and factors that go into analyzing the debt structure and the amount of debt that we have and how we're paying it off. And you can see the percentage of weighted factors that go into that rating. Significantly, there's 3 areas there where you've achieved a AAA in that particular category. That's as high as you're going to get in those categories. You're to be commended on that. A AA2 is in there also, and a AA. So those are strong factors that go into an overall rating of an A1 for the city of Algoma. Congratulations, we're very happy with that. Very happy with that performance. Having been in credit for almost 45 years, that's really nice to see when we're working with a community the size of Algoma. It's not Green Bay, it's not Madison, thank God, but it's a nice credit, great community, and that letter grade rating is going to allow us to compete next week for interest rates for our note anticipation notes that we're going to issue, okay? We're planning on issuing note anticipation notes for improvements to your new tax incremental, is it 5, number 5? Tax incremental district number 5. We plan on going out with that issue now that we have the rating. The rating's been published. Everybody in the country can access the site, Moody's, to find out that where Algoma is rated and where this credit is rated. And we're on the calendar, so potential buyers know that on the 16th or by the 16th, we'll need to have interest rate quotes from them and what they might want to buy as a portion of our note anticipation note. We will then bring those rates, or that rate, back to you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure. There's only going to be one rate because it's a balloon, it's a note, and I'll explain to you why it's a note and a balloon. But we will bring that back to you with some comparables to show you how you compared in the market to other A1 credits. And if you like that, you can lock into it on the 16th by adopting the resolution that, I believe just a draft went out today, didn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So all the legalese in the draft should be available. One thing we don't know yet is the credit rate, the rate. I'm expecting that the yield's gonna be somewhere around that middle 3 range, 3.5. But again, we won't know that for, another almost 2 weeks. People don't put, and you might ask me, well, Jeff, what the heck are you doing? Why don't we get a rate sooner than that? Well, because the credit markets won't hold that rate for more than 24 hours. I think, as you all know, rates are volatile and people are in buying and selling every day. So they're kind of waiting to see where rates are going to go. There's some stabilization. They might want to give us a rate this early, but we think prices are going to improve a little bit, which means the rate's going to be lower then than it is now. Does that make sense so far to everyone? Okay. Now, let's take a look at the structure of the credit. I passed out to everyone a one-page copy of the front page of what is called the preliminary official statement. That is a document that we helped develop with Jamie and Aaron. That probably had some input there. And that document went out to Moody's Investor Service and is available on the repositories for anyone in the country to take a look at. It explains our demographics, it talks about our credit, it talks about how everybody should want to live in Algoma because of the quality of life. And it talks about certainly specifics relative to our various debt ratios. And more importantly, or as importantly, what we intend to do with the money. Okay. Believe it or not, those investors are going to lend us almost $4 million. Kind of want to know what we're going to do with money, what's our project all about, and what is our credit. Let's take a look at what our credit actually is. And I'm going to refer you to that one page. And if you go underneath the center bold where it says City of Algoma, Kewaunee County, underneath the dated date, the second line starts, the notes shall in no event be general obligations of the City of Algoma, Kewaunee County, Wisconsin, the city, and do not constitute an indebtedness of the city, nor a charge against its general credit or taxing power. How many of you guys want to step up and lend $4 million on that flimsy promise? I say that tongue in cheek, but it really is the most flimsy promise a municipal government can make to when we borrow money. And yet we received an A1 rating on that promise. What we're promising to do is something in the future after certain events have taken place, okay? We have a 5-year note anticipation note, callable at your discretion in 3 years. And you ask, well, okay, why did we do it that way? We did it that way because we need a bank of money to pay for the projects to improve that tax incremental district. You understand tax incremental district? They have a base value that's been set. What we intend to do is put our improvements in and encourage, through our developers agreement, some growth within that small geographic area known as TID 5. That valuation is going to grow. It's not gonna grow all at once, but it's gonna grow over time because we're actually putting in improvements. The developer is putting them in over a certain scheduled period of time. In order for those improvements to end up on the tax roll, it takes time. We have to build it, which is normally in the first year we build something. It gets assessed, it gets on, in year number 2, it gets on the tax rolls, and we don't collect anything till almost, well, the 3rd year. So we don't have any money to pay our loan. We want to step up and lend the city of Algoma all this money, because this is really what's happening. So, in order to ease the fears of various investors, we include interest payments during the first 3 years of this issue, so that we can tell those investors, look, we recognize it's going to take time to get this developed. We recognize it's not going to be at least 3 to 4 years before we start getting money to pay you back, but we have money sitting in an account, in a borrowed money fund, that's going to earn interest, and we're going to use that to make the debt service payments. One other very nice thing about your project, and correct me if something's changed, Matt, but we have land there that we intend on selling, and for a pretty good chunk of money. And so even though we're including this money to make the payments, and Mayor, I apologize, you were on the call with us, which was great, thank you, we appreciate that. We are gonna offset basically those monies by the sale of that land. But that, of course, isn't gonna happen prior to us actually needing to go to the market and getting the money. With these TIF districts, it's always, you know, kind of a bit reverse. We have all the expenses up front and all the revenue comes in later on. In any TIF district, almost everyone, that last payment of TIF increment is normally the highest, and it's when we actually need it the least. So I just want you to understand what we're trying to do here in terms of matching the need for our cash flows to the investors' concern about how they're going to get paid back. Okay, you have other TIFs, they've been successful. I certainly anticipate this one's going to be successful too. You have in fact increased your equalized or true value of this community by 80-some% over the last 5 years. I think it is 89 or 87%. That's significant. It's one of those things that made your ratios flip from gray to absolutely perfect. You want to continue to do that, obviously. It's also one of those things that allow us now at least to borrow money to do a fire station, which you're more in the middle, way past the middle of getting done. There are other needs that you're going to have, and you know, a number of years ago, we didn't have the luxury of being able to borrow that money because of where our valuation was. We didn't have a high enough equalized value to do much more than ongoing capital projects. So we're in a much rosier place, if you will, in terms of our credit and being able to capture money from investors throughout the United States. That's where we are, that's why we structured it this way. What we intend to do is when this, maybe before it comes due, as I said, it's callable in 3 years at your discretion, not anyone else's. But we have a full 5 years to get those TIF increments in place. Now think ahead 4 years, we now, let's say, have had 2 payments of tax incremental debt that we've actually collected. That's the start of being able to show investors we have the ability to pay them back over a longer period of time. And that's when this issue will be restructured to match the cash flows. We intend that none of this debt service is going to be on the general property tax rolls. This is a TIF district. We intend that that development will pay for itself. The economic forecasts within that plan show that it will, based on certain events to occur, which I think are conservative in terms of the assumptions. It's a good plan, and kind of excited about TIF 5 actually. That's a lot to digest. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I will reiterate that I'll be back on the 16th. I'm not gonna stay in Pat's office another 2 weeks. He doesn't feed me very well, I must say. Candy bar here, a Coke there. Happy to answer questions, anything that you have.
When will the sale actually take place, John?
What's that, John?
When will the sale actually take place?
The sale, normally what happens, John, is the day of your meeting on the 16th will probably be the third day of marketing. This issue's not, it's big for us, but, you know, by the same token, we're marketing 80, 100, $300 million issues. This is gonna fall into a specific niche. There are people who are gonna wanna buy Algoma. They want the credit. They like where the area is. They wanna put some in their portfolio. So to answer your question, John, the sale will actually be, primarily, I think most of the selling will occur the day before your meeting, so on the 15th. We'll actually be out into the market with the issue prior to that, and we'll do pre-sale 3 days prior to your meeting date on the 16th. So that we get a really good idea as to where that price will fall. We will then take orders. It's typical to have a 2 to 3 hour order period, excuse me. So people that will have already contacted a week beforehand know that they have to get their bid ready for us by that date. We will then have an order period, and we will see what bids we have. And then we will determine at that point if it's oversubscribed, which would be great. We'll go back into the market with a higher price. We'll try to keep those people who are interested, but if we're oversubscribed, it means obviously it's a little too cheap. So let's go in and get a higher price, a little lower interest cost. Now, I'm not talking a great deal of difference, 0.05, 0.07%, but still it's worth getting that on almost $4 million. So that's the process.
Anyone else? If not, thank you very much, Jeff. What action do you want to take?
Appreciate it.
Informational only. The 16th we'll look to take action.
Okay, just information.
One thing.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, it really is.
This rating is largely a testament to the competency and efforts that you all put in, so thank you for being there and continuing to guide us. You know, we make decisions, but you guys have the expertise, so I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all you doing that continually, because we've made
Casey,
exemplary.
I appreciate those comments more than you know. These guys really do work hard, and you know, they're very conscientious about what they do. And I kind of feel like I get a little irritated sometimes. I apologize when they don't get the credit that they should have. You know, and yes, you guys should ask every question that you can think of, and they're good questions because we all learn from it. And a lot of work and time and effort goes into it. So they're very conscientious. So Casey, thank you so much. You do have a great staff, all of them.
Thanks, Joe.
Even if Matt forgets when I'm coming to see him.
Thank you, Casey. Anything else? If not,
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
next would be the approval of the preliminary plat of Merriman Acres. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the preliminary plat. For anybody that doesn't know or the process, this has gone through the plan commission and has been approved and sent here to the council for the plan commission. This is the preliminary, so the steps of this is, this preliminary plat gets reviewed by the plan commission, gets adopted by the council, gets sent to the state for review, all right? If the state sees no issues with it, they send it back, goes to the plan commission, goes to the full council the second time and gets adopted, and it becomes plotted property, okay? At that time, we look, moving to change the zoning on the property to what it will become before that gets, or when that gets adopted as a plot. Okay, so this is the preliminary plot. Like at the plan commission, the first page that everybody has in front of them here is just the topographical, shows the heights and elevations changes. And if everybody goes to page 2, that is actually shows the setbacks right of ways, what will stay the city's right of way. Couple things that I wanna call out or talk to. The back side, what I'm gonna call west or northwest of lot 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, that is a retention pond that will stay the city's. And between lot 9 and lot 10, that easement will stay the city's for any maintenance that gets done to that retention pond, okay? So if everybody's following along and sees that, where I'm talking to, just wanna call that out. Lots 44, lots 45, lots 5 and 6, and lots 10 and 11. If you look on the far left side of your page, you can show the details A, B, and C. Those bump outs will be mailbox spots on the properties, okay? Where those bump outs are, that is where you will go to your mailbox to get your mail. That is one thing I was not happy about. I explained that to the Plan Commission. That is a federal law now. That is, you no longer get the choice to have your mailbox at your curb or at your front door. The federal standards now says in a new plot, this is how your mailboxes will be. And it wasn't bothering me where the mailboxes were, it becomes kind of a maintenance thing of, there's some sidewalk that you have to have in place. You know, a place to ADA ramp to get to them, obviously that'll be the cities to have to maintain. Not anybody in this neighborhood. So I just wanted to call that out. Snow removal, ice removal, any of that. So what you'll see is I'm gonna call it a 5x3, 6x4, kind of with a whole bunch of, everybody will have their own key, that'll be your mailbox. So.
And they will not have a homeowners association.
There will not be an HOA or a homeowners association, no, this will be a
So
residential
that's why
lot.
we're keeping the retention.
That is correct. So that'll be the city's, as part of our storm sewer to maintain, that retention pond, okay? Lot 47, there is a secondary, it's not drawn on here, but this will stay the developers. Black Diamond will keep that. They will be responsible for developing everything within lot 47. They're responsible for any of the blacktop, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, their retention pond. That will be the developer's responsibility, not the city's within there. Plowing the snow, cutting the grass, that will be on him.
That will have a homeowners association.
I don't know about an HOA, I think it'll be more of a just straight up rent. You know, I don't think you'll pay an HOA fee, you'll pay your monthly rent, and that's, out of that, he'll have to, you know, hire somebody to cut the grass, do the yard, snow removal, property maintenance, things like that.
So these are gonna be rental units rather than condominium?
That is
ownership?
correct, yes.
And do we know how are they gonna be large like the one downtown, or? is it
No,
gonna be-
they will, single story, yes, not multi-story, they'll all be single story.
How many units in there now?
30, 38,
Well,
36.
40.
And I'm
I feel
questioning,
like it's like 55-ish.
I was
I don't
gonna
have
say
the developers
56.
looking at me.
I don't, because there's a variance in the
There's a plus or
developers
minus in
agreement,
it,
that is
yeah.
correct. 50 plus or minus 6, is it, or 54 plus or minus 6, something like that,
There will be more condo units than there will be houses.
that is correct. So with that, I would entertain any questions, any of the council, or I'd be looking for a motion to send the preliminary plat to the state for adoption.
Well, I would move that. We've done a lot of work to try to get here, so.
Did you have a question, Scott? You want to tackle that first?
Yeah, just real quick point of clarification, so the mailboxes, there's only 3 for this entire, is that?
Each mailbox will have like 10 units in
No, I understand that, John.
3 locations.
There's only 3?
That is correct, 3 locations
Okay,
between lots 44 and 45,
as listed.
lots 5 and 6, and lots 10 and 11.
The
That's a big,
biggest one is gonna be cluster mailbox unit C for lots 7 through 31, so it's gonna go 7 all the way to 20 and then back down 21 through 31.
That is correct.
I guess I question why the development of Casco doesn't have these, they all have individual, how does that work? Isn't that a development just like this?
That's
It's
a
a
good
federal-
question, Steve.
If it's a federal.
Steve, I'm sorry. Wayne,
I'm new
I
here.
apologize.
And if it's a federal law, I'm just questioning it because they don't have them in that Casco development.
Could be newer.
How tight are the houses in that Casco development?
How tight?
Tight, like how close together?
I mean,
I feel like
think
they're more
bigger
spread.
lots.
Bigger
Because
lots.
we do have a couple of these
Casco's
in
probably
town,
considered
like
rural
this is how
because
I
they
grew
have
up,
their
was
own
one of
wells,
these.
correct?
And it's
Yeah,
because
no
the
city
houses are.
amenities, maybe that's why. I don't
Yeah,
know.
these lots aren't real big.
No, that, my assumption is because of the Casco, they're spaced out a little bit more, but these are tighter.
I'd make a motion.
John wanted to make the motion to move it forward.
Yeah, I'll second.
If everybody's done, I'll second that. Motion by John and second by Scott. Any other discussion? If not, we can roll call.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Beverden,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, next would be the presentation of the 2025 housing study, part one from the KCEDC by Redevelopment Resources. You wanna kick it off, Matt?
Yep, just a minute. We're gonna turn on the TV and bring up our PowerPoint.
I'll do an intro while they're getting it set up.
Sure, I'll turn it over then to Ben
All right.
and let Ben kick it off.
Ben, can you make sure that that microphone's on? It should have a green light on top.
Okay, I think it's on, there's a green light on, so. Good evening, thank you everybody for having us. I'll be very brief, because Kristen is the one that you probably want to hear from. Just to give you kind of the framework on how we got to this point. So I started with the Economic Development Organization back in 2021. We invested very heavily in this first 2 years in BRE visits. If you're not familiar with those are business retention and expansion. So that's me physically going out, meeting with our business owners and leaders, hearing about what's their biggest challenges, where there might be opportunities for us to do better in the county. And so of over 185 of those visits over 2 years, 92% of our businesses in our county have identified workforce talent as their top priority and their top issue. And they, some of our largest employers in the county then, in late 2022, early 23, held a big meeting with myself, some members of the county board, our county administrator at the time, and said housing is the solution to their talent and workforce issues. So the KCEDC then went to work and developed a strategic plan that put housing as our top priority for the next few years. So after that, we secured a $50,000 grant through the Thrive Rural program, which is through the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. And with those funds, that gave rise to Project Homestead. So really to kind of map out, before we could actually address housing, we had to kind of figure out where we were, what our current situation is, what are our projections for the future. And so we hired a consultant to assist in this because that's a lot of heavy lifting for one individual to do. So Kristen Fish-Peterson from Redevelopment Resources is the consultant that our leadership team and I selected, Matt being a part of that leadership team. And so we've completed phase 1 of Project Homestead. And so that was really a very thorough housing market analysis. And we specifically looked at the communities of Algoma, Kewanee, and Luxembourg as their most populated communities in our county. So now we have a much better roadmap of what the demand is, and we have recommendations now for each community. Phase 2 is underway right now, where we'll get into more of the specifics on how we approach that, where the opportunities are. But with that, I'll turn it over to Kristen.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening. As Ben said, I'm Kristen Fish-Peterson with Redevelopment Resources. My firm has been in business for 16 years, and we have done quite a few housing studies in the last few years, particularly because that seems to be the top need for most communities and most employers. And you know, there's always a debate whether it's an economic development issue. So I'm going to go through the slides. I've pulled some highlights out of the report. I think you have a copy of the report or you have access to it. So I will go through this, and I welcome any questions that you might have. I have my copy here, so I don't have to look at the screen. But on the first slide, you'll advance them for me? Okay, thank you. What we want to do is make sure you as leaders have information. And we want to make sure you understand how housing impacts economic development, what external factors impact housing development. So, not yet, but on the next slide, I go into that, and I'll share with you what impacts economic development, how housing impacts economic development, and then what external factors impact housing development. We did an inventory of the existing housing supply, because we want you to understand that. Functions of market demand, demand forecast, gap analysis, funding strategies. We've looked at policies, we made recommendations, and we want you to understand all the information that impacts the participating communities. So we gathered secondary data first. We always look at the data, and that always tells a story, but it doesn't tell the whole story. So I also interviewed several people personally. I talked to Matt, I talked to other business leaders in the community, talked to bankers, developers, contractors, employers. And then we analyzed existing conditions. We did conduct a gap analysis and demand forecast, and then we created some recommendations. And as Ben said, this is phase one. So the recommendations were fairly high level, and we'll dive deeper into those recommendations in phase two. So on the next slide, what impacts housing? Housing impacts things that housing impacts. Housing impacts a person's quality of life. It impacts an employer's ability to retain and recruit workforce. It impacts the construction industry, the real estate industry, and retail and service industries. It impacts property tax revenue. That's your main source of income here as a municipality in Wisconsin. Housing also impacts business retention and recruitment. It also impacts infrastructure and land use efficiency. But what impacts the housing industry? The impacts on the housing industry include land cost and land availability, includes physical development constraints, labor costs and availability. When we saw the housing crisis in 2009, we lost a lot of contractors. So that was a huge impact on the industry. Impacts on housing also include financial resources, the public approval process, and the cost of materials. So you can see it's a very dynamic and impacted and impactful industry. We used the entire county as our study area, but as Ben said, we also focused on the 3 municipalities that were mentioned. We also used Oconto County as our comparable county. So when we show some comparisons on the next few slides of data we compare to Oconto County. And the next slide shows population trends by county. It shows Kewaunee County fairly flat. However, I always say you don't have to accept that. You know, whenever we see a population flat or declining, I say, you don't have to accept that, you can do something about that. And that's, as economic development professionals, that's our goal, is to impact that population. Also, household trends and projections by county show that Kewaunee County's households have gone down and are projected to continue to decrease, but Oconto County's households are also projected to decrease. On the next slide, we show employment by occupation, by county, and by community. I'm not going to dice and slice this one verbally, but it's your top industries are professional services and production, and management, business, and financial. The next slide talks about household income, and it does compare Kewaunee County again to Oconto County for household income, and then it compares the communities, the 3 communities of Algoma, Kewaunee, and Luxembourg across income categories. The next slide is one that I'm going to focus on for a minute. This one tells a very interesting story. So this is the housing supply by the age of the housing units. The top of the left-hand table shows that a majority of the housing units in Kewaunee County were developed, not a majority, but the largest share were developed in 1939 or earlier, so you have a lot of old housing stock. And it isn't a majority of the housing stock, it's the largest share though, by far. And then if you see there were fairly consistent development by decade from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, from 2000 to 2009, and then it tapers way back. And that was a reflection of the recession in 2009. And then in 2020 or later, we're halfway through that decade now, and really the production has gone way down. So this is one of the reasons there's such a tight housing market right now, or such a scarcity, such a high demand, because the housing hasn't been developed to keep up with turnover in the community. Units by community are shared on the right-hand graph there, and you can see Kewaunee has the oldest housing stock, the city of Kewaunee. Algoma's housing stock is younger, or not as old as Kewaunee's, but it's also, you can see that consistency in the earlier decades of development, and then it tapers way back. As far as vacancy is concerned, this slide is interesting because it shows that Oconto County has a huge vacancy compared to Kewaunee County, but the census doesn't know how to count Airbnbs or vacation homes. So part-time residents they get counted as vacant because they're not being resided in full-time. That's also why it looks like the city of Algoma has a higher vacancy rate, because you have a higher number of either second homes or Airbnbs than the other communities. Okay, we do factor vacancy into our demand forecast, and I'll explain that a little bit later. This data is from a local realtor. We did get this from a realtor here in the county. So we show sales from 2018 to 2024. There was a huge increase in sales between 2018 and 2019, and then it decreased significantly to 2023, and it's rebounding. I think that decrease is due to inventory, the number of homes that were available to sell. And then the days on market, your trend decreased from 2018 down to 2022, where the houses were on the market for a much shorter period of time, and that has started to level out again. On the next slide, we talk about median home value. The median home value in the city of Algoma is $145,000. And then the Kewaunee County median list and sales price. So this is always interesting. The list price was higher in some years than the sales price. In 2020, it was higher. So people were spending more than, they were bidding higher than the list price, but that has worked itself out until we get to 2024 where, or excuse me, in the sale price, excuse me, it was higher in 22 and 23. That's when the market was the hottest. It's cooling off a little bit where the sale price is now under the list price. So people are either excited about listing their homes for more than they actually are worth, or because they want what happened in 22 and 23, and that market has started to catch up to that. On the next slide, we have the rental trends. So the price of rental units has gone way up because of the lack of supply. That's all it is. And or if new units have been built in 22, 21, 22, 23, that price will also raise the average rent because those new units are going to be more expensive. So we did look, there's more data about the rental market in the report. On the next slide, we show the demand forecast where we came up with how many homes we think that the county could support construction of, and then we broke it out by municipality, and I've highlighted Algoma here. So we believe that the market in Kewaunee County could support between 2,000 and 3,200 new residential units, and that's all homes, rental and owner occupied. In Algoma itself, we're predicting between 350 and 609 homes over the next 5 to 8 years. And we use the factors that are listed there, employed people in the area, people that work in the area but live outside. We didn't use a one-for-one there, but we took a factor of that because we believe that people work here, they might want to live here. So we took a factor of that 2,099 number. We estimated new jobs between 100 and 250 over the next 5 to 8 years. And then new households captured, natural household growth, pent-up demand, and then the recommended vacancy rate. That all is what goes into how we estimate demand. Specifically then, we highlight your demand table on this chart. And on the next one, we broke it down even further to look at between rental and owner occupied, and then what we're calling workforce housing and senior housing and market rate housing. We put those together because we believe that many of the seniors that live in their own home still would like a nicer place to move to out of their house, and free up that single family resident for maybe a first-time home buyer or something. But we put those in the market rate column because we believe that the seniors that live here would, there may be demand for affordable senior living, but we think that the majority of those folks are gonna want a market rate unit. And specifically talking to some of the bankers and realtors, it would be a single-story condo duplex type unit, garden-style condo that seniors would want to live in. So this is how we split out the demand between rental, so between 135, a total of 441 units between workforce for more affordable and senior market on the rental side, and then that additional owner-occupied housing. On the next few slides, I kind of do a high-level review of some of the recommendations that we made. The first recommendation centers around the education of residents and elected officials. There are a lot of misperceptions about housing, who needs it, what kind of people live in certain kinds of housing, and why it's important to the county and the local economy. So education is the #1 recommendation. The second recommendation would be to build new units, and according to those demand charts, this recommendation and some of the other ones will be fleshed out even further in phase 2 of the study. But marketing to developers, marketing to internally and externally to construct those new units. The third recommendation would be the rehab of existing units. You have existing housing stock. And what we've seen happen with a lot of people is that they may not have the income to keep it up, to keep it nice, and to make sure it's well maintained. So we need to focus on that so we don't end up with a bunch of blighted houses. And that may or may not be a problem in Algoma specifically, but we do see issues throughout the county where there could be a homeowner rehab program where it would help residents keep their house nice. So that's a recommendation. The fourth recommendation would be to address short-term rentals in some way, whatever we can do. We've researched a few options here, creating a registry, trying to regulate them a little bit, making sure they're paying their room tax, all of that good stuff. But you know, to the extent the state law allows us, we want to make sure we understand that piece of the market and can regulate it if possible. The fifth recommendation is then to consider, to make sure that each municipality has the right kind of zoning for missing middle housing. And that would be every kind of housing that comes between a single family home on a regular lot and a high density multifamily development. So it would be duplexes, triplexes, condos, townhomes, and cottage courts, to make sure your zoning is open to that and allowing that. The sixth recommendation would be then to identify available development properties or areas where you could do that development. And that is the end of my formal presentation, and I'm definitely available for questions.
Chris, anybody have any questions? You got it now. The study that you did, I noticed the median home was 145. I think we're higher than that now. Are we growing that fast, or was this, it looked like your study was from 24?
The data might have been available from 2024. We just wouldn't have had data available.
It seems like we're higher than that to me. I don't know why, but.
No,
I think-
154, it used to be like 100, and we just went up 50%.
Yeah. The middle, I think it's right.
That would be the median home value, yes.
Yeah. Anybody? Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on then to the Algoma Area Chamber of Commerce Tourism and Promotion Administration Subcommittee. You want to kick it off and then?
Yeah, I'll touch base and then turn it over for any questions. This has been talked about back and forth. Right now, we have a tourism and promotion committee, commission. The state of Wisconsin gives you two options to operate under. You can form a tourism and promotion commission, or you can give it to the chamber of, or a tourism identity. I shouldn't say it has to go to the Chamber of Commerce, a tourism identity. With that being said, Bradley, who is here tonight, and Jen Highland, the president of the chamber, came and sat down in my office a couple weeks ago and had a very lengthy conversation of what they believe they could do and moving it over to them. With that being said, I asked them to put kind of what they're looking to do on paper, and spell that out, and how they would operate. Bradley has done that. Last week he has sent me an email. I since then have talked to him on the phone, with just, a couple of things. I invited him here to the meeting tonight if anybody had any questions. I've gone through this. I don't know if you've all had a chance to go through it, but this, if this is something that the council would so choose to do, this would take place of our current ordinance today, and we would no longer have a tourism and promotion commission. It would operate under this realm, under our ordinance. I know it's a lot. There's probably questions. I'd be happy to entertain any of the questions that anybody has at this time.
So it would be a subcommittee that would still, it still is responsible in the same way the commission is responsible to reporting back, or would it be completely independent of the
They're
city?
calling it a subcommittee, but it's like a subcommittee of the chamber.
That is
It
correct.
has nothing to do with the city of Algoma. At this point, we would be turning the funds over directly to the chamber versus now they're kind of a pass-through, right, Matt?
Right now, we currently take our 70% of our collection and we turn it over to the chamber, okay? Because the chamber is, they kind of run the checkbook for the tourism and promotion committee. All right, I'm sorry, commission. That would not change. We would still, that money would go directly. This would be a subcommittee internally inside the chamber that they would operate, okay?
Would there, Bradley, maybe you can answer this, I see it as far as like the membership, right, who you would want to have on that, being that it would be within the chamber, but the dollars generally should benefit the entire community, would that be helpful to have non-chamber members? Or are you are you beholden to the community generally, or would you only be responsible to the membership?
Absolutely, so it's a great question. We did have that discussion at the chamber board level. For this subcommittee, we would be inviting any business owner, of any sort, and the committee would not be exclusively chamber members. This fund is designed to benefit the community. Therefore, we would like the committee to be made up of business owners from all industries, regardless of their chamber membership. These funds would not be used to benefit exclusive chamber members. It would be used to benefit the community as a whole.
And what do you think the advantage of this model is compared to what exists?
Yeah, so I think that the biggest positive thing to this particular model is that it allows us to adapt to change that happens. Currently, the commission only meets for a short window of the year. We'd be seeking to have our subcommittee meet monthly so we can review monthly the performance of the different programs we're working on, make sure that everything that we're doing is one, a good return on investment, and two, is a responsible use of the funds. We really do want to make sure that we've got that good oversight and that we're compiling those good reports, just to make sure that, again, the funds are used appropriately and actually benefiting the community to the maximum amount that we can.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So for the collections, the way that it works now is that the city is collecting and then giving the 70% back, correct?
That is correct.
Would that be changing in the fact that they would be receiving it directly and then giving us our 30%?
No, we would still do the collection and
Oh.
turn over 70%
Oh, okay.
to them. And 30% retaining.
Okay.
Still here today. One of the things that I did talk about, and Bradley's here, and me and him talked about, as part of their platform and who they would have, on the committee, this is just a recommendation I have, that there should be a council member on the committee, adopted or appointed by the mayor, adopted by the council every year in April, that person would be, like, we would go through our normal, instead of doing the whole board, or the whole commission, I apologize, that one person would be appointed to that. Obviously, that's something that, me and Bradley talked about. If that's something that this body would like, their council would like to see, that's up to you.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I mean, right now, the way you have it is roughly 6 to 7 members.
Yes. Really, we wouldn't be capping the committee membership. If it is beneficial to have more and if more people want to be on it, that's fabulous. Right now, that's kind of the bare number we would like to have to operate, so we have a good diverse mixture of ideas as well as industries. Right now, kind of the understanding that our board is operating under is if this were to take place, we would invite the existing commission members over in their entirety for the duration of that first year, so we could retain that wisdom, retain that knowledge. It'd be kind of foolish for us to say, let's scrap it and have an entirely new body. We'd really like to invite everyone who's existing on that commission over, so that way we are continuing the good work they're doing, not just starting new.
Does our 30% stay with the community development then?
Not all of it, but a portion of it, yes.
So that one will still be intact?
That would still stay intact, that is correct.
Where does that 30% go?
The CDC, Community Development.
Well, we don't get all of that. We get 25% of that 30%.
And then some of it pays for staffing wages here, administrative wages.
All right, so some of it goes to wages, and some of it goes to these CDC.
The 30% can be used for a lot of anything, right? And so like it's when administrative costs or administrative covers a lot of things, but when it was originated, the CDC was developed and was given a portion of it. So that doesn't have to happen, but it hopefully would continue to.
Does legal have to look at this?
I already did sit down with Jim. He has not a problem with the city attorney. He sees no issue with this. This would take place, like I said, of our current ordinance that we have in place today.
So we have to publish this just like we would an ordinance?
It would be treated just like any ordinance, and you can waive the second hearing if you'd so choose to. I would not be looking for that today. I'd be looking for a recommendation to move forward with this with any recommended changes. Then we would I would have legal draft the new ordinance and bring it back to you at a next meeting.
So you'd be looking for a recommendation to move this forward with the addition of adding a council member to the.
If that's the consensus of the council, then that's what I would be looking for.
So this will not go in the ordinance. This is the chamber's subcommittee, this is their bylaws ordinance, this is theirs. What happens now is if you look at our ordinance or you look at our municipal code, the section about having a tourism and promotion commission comes out and then says that it reverts to the chamber or whatever the
This would
state.
take the body of it.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's a good idea. At least they'll meet monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Nope.
One last quick question, would those quarterly reports and annual reports be something that we would be seeing at the city level?
If that is the commission's wish, we can make those available. The initial discussion was annual reports, but if quarterly reports are what the commission would be comfortable with, we can definitely make those available.
Do they still have to furnish a budget to the city?
That's it.
Okay.
Once a year, you will see their budget. That is written in the structure that they presented, that they will bring that to you and say, this is what we've done with the money. Like the tourism and promotion currently does today.
And they would still make recommendations on room tax level and to us, and it would still be us to, our obligation to move it or keep it or whatever the case may be.
That is correct. If they come to you and say, we want to change the room tax to X or Y, it still would be this body's decision to adopt that or say, no, we're keeping it where it is right now.
Isn't room tax state regulated?
You can change it up to a certain amount. I think it's 9% now.
And we're at what? Six.
I, don't quote me, but it is flexible, capped by the state. Yeah, so you can't make it 28%. They do have the state does have a cap on it.
So again, you're just looking for a motion to move forward with this.
If this is the direction that the
I'm so
council,
moving because this is long overdue.
With the addition of.
The addition of one council member today.
to follow our normal adopted by, or appointed by the mayor, adopted by the council.
Correct. Second.
Either
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mitch jumped in.
Yeah, go for it.
Wayne and Mitch?
Okay, so just to make sure that I have it, we are recommending staff to move forward with,
Reviewing or
so
adding.
drafting a new ordinance to, decommission the Tourism and Promotion Commission. And follow this with the
Including
addition of one council member.
Yes, that's my, you read it perfectly.
Thanks.
Now, it's just changeable by us at any time.
No.
You would have to change it by ordinance if you so chose to do it.
Council could change it back for some reason, any reason.
It's an ordinance.
We'd have to do the same thing.
You'd have to
we're
have
doing
a new
now.
ordinance.
You'd have to redo the ordinance.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But it's
It
within
is
our
not a charter
prerogative.
ordinance.
If you decided in 10 years, this isn't the structure we want, the only other option you have though is to go back to a tourism and promotion commission. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion from Wayne and a second from Mitch. You just want to voice vote on that, or you want a roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call, okay.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Wayne Schmidt,
Yes.
Meverden,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Swedberg.
Yes.
Thank you, Bradley. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, last thing would be the sign ordinance. Number 854, amending chapter 113, section 123 to 232.
So turn this one over to me.
Wayne to do it?
This is brought back to you, a couple of things, I think there's maybe some questions of clarification that came to question after the fact. But I will, if anybody has had a chance to go through it, I will take, first of all, maybe any question that anybody has before I touch on some of it.
This is what we had already discussed, and we're just looking for the action.
That is correct.
There was some clarification after the last meeting.
There was, that,
Touch base on it.
sure.
Must be perpendicular to the roads for the signage I see was changed or added.
That was one thing, and then the 25 feet, I think people took that as back of curb or where that had to be, right? That's a measurement that we went out and looked at, and we changed from where your sign can be off the right of way to 10 feet instead of 12 feet, not, I think a lot of people thought there was 25 feet that you had to be off of the back of the right of way before you could start a sign. That is not in detail to what it meant to say.
So it's 10 feet from the end of the right of way?
That is correct. From the right of way, you can have a,
Sidewalk, yeah.
that is correct, from the right of way, which would be the back side of the sidewalk.
I think the 25 feet came into play when it's the wall sign. And if a building are set back, it is 25 feet.
Setback,
I think
that
that's
is
The
where-
building
correct.
must be set
Yeah,
back
that's where
25
we
feet.
had
Or more.
Right.
miscommunication.
Yep.
But But otherwise, everything else is pretty much what we talked about, so.
So looking for a motion to approve ordinance 854.
I would
And
need to
if
waive-
you'd like to waive the second reading.
Waive the second reading,
Yeah.
so moved.
Second.
Ween, by Scott, second by Ween. And roll call, please.
Meverden,
Yes.
Ortlieb,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
And last would be the library building.
The library building, just to bring everybody up to date, that is one of the last final steps that we are waiting for. Jim Theis and Chris Peoples were here on Friday afternoon. Myself, the fire chief, were able to meet with him with a couple things that we had on the fire department, a couple questions that the chief had. We were able to work our way through that in a matter of 15 minutes. And then we went over and spent a lot of time in the library. Kathy, I think, is still here. But it was a lot of walkthrough. We walked around the outside of the building. They walked around the inside of the building. I put this on here as a placeholder in case I would have something back from them. I do not yet. I am hoping the latter part of this week, early part of next week, I do have something. As soon as I do, I will be sharing that with Kathy and bringing that hopefully by the 16th to the council to look how that lays out with some numbers on what are the needs and then what are the extras. A lot of things, and Kathy, if you want to touch on anything, the front of the building and the arch sidewalk, obviously we walked through that. A little bit of painting and some things that need to be done on the inside. And then really a lot of the other work was replacement of windows down in the children's area, the lower level, children's, I guess, section. Replacement of those bigger bay windows that have some issues. Bayland went up and looked at the roof with some potential or possibility if it's not the window leaking, it might be, something else. But those are really the next steps of what we looked at. They took some measurements. They're gonna have that on paper with some different alternates as we move forward. Fortunately, I still don't have them. As soon as I do, we'll have some hopefully plans with a number on it to move forward. Does anybody have any questions for myself or Kathy from the library? Hearing none, I'm not looking for anything, it's just informational. Like I said, I was hoping, by chance, if I had something, I wanted something on the agenda to be able to keep moving this forward, but.
Thank you. All right, then you can keep right on talking on the administrator's report.
I have a lot down here, but we've covered a lot of it already. Just to kind of go through Portside Lofts, the project is complete. People started moving in this last weekend. I think it went pretty well. I haven't heard any yay or nay how that went, but I noticed more and more people had it set up, I think, to move in with a couple tranches, that everybody wasn't big move-in day this weekend. I think as much as people want to. Scott's laughing because he had move-in day this weekend, not in the apartments, but in a different manner.
College is going on.
But also for the public, their office is now on site on Fifth Street on the, I'm gonna call it, northeast quadrant of the building. They were renting up at St. Mary's Church, from them, but their office manager now has moved on site in the office on site. So anybody that has any questions or looking for rent information, you can either call there or, go there in person. They are there, I think, kind of 8 to 2 in the afternoon, I think it is, or their work hours, that there's actually office staff there. So just wanted to get that out to the public. The Algoma Fire and Rescue, and talking with Bayland, myself, the chief on Friday, they are looking to set up a groundbreaking time period to have a groundbreaking. They're working on getting their signage all put together, a picture of what this building is gonna, everybody has seen it, but what it's gonna look like, blowing up, and they will be reaching out to us to set up a groundbreaking. There's one thing Bayland wants to do. They will get a hold of the media, have media on site. Obviously, we will invite the mayor and the full council to be there for that. And at the end of it, actually, they wanted to have a ribbon cutting as well. So just waiting to get some times and some dates from them. As soon as I have them, I will pass them along to everybody. Obviously, I would like every council member and the mayor to be at that. So that's something we'll be working back and forth with, so just information.
I just need to make a comment about this fire station. Sure. Even though we've got the monies now, we've got the, the 900 and some thousand over what we budgeted at 3 million. I don't want us to give up without trying to either get some grant money or to get some more donors. We were fortunate with a donor that came forward and gave us $200,000, but I think if we approach, there's other people out there that are willing to help us with this, so that we can drop that back hopefully to 3 million, which we authorized to spend on there. I mean, we're all in favor of it, but I think there's monies out there that we should be looking to get. So.
Thank you for that, Wayne. Any other questions about that? Like I said, here again, more information to come. Administrative Police Department, or Police Building, 208 Steel Street. We're here again waiting for the library to get through that. I would like to put those both out at the same time to bid and have the MEPs both done at the same time on both buildings. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern with getting through the library portion of that. So TID 5, I think we covered pretty much the updates on TID 5 and where that is at. Everything seems to be moving along. One thing I do want to add with that is REL, Robert E. Lee, is working in the background of all of this. They are starting to create the plans and get everything ready to go out to bid on the backside of this. So we're not waiting for this one thing to clear and then starting the next thing. All of that is happening in the background. Hopefully working with the developer, stay on his schedule that early spring, we're ready for him to be able to start moving some ground and doing what he wants to do to get in there. So just for information on that. And then the Moody's rating, Jeff was here, was able to attend. I don't think anybody has any more questions on that of part of TID 5. If anybody has any questions for me, I would entertain them.
Seeing none? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I'll just add, I was asked to add, to remember that school started. It's very busy out there. Slow down. I'm sure the chief is on it like he was last year. It worked out very well, but I was asked to mention it, that it is very busy on that street again, so be careful going down that road.
On Fremont or Division?
Fremont, well,
They're both there,
Fremont
that's why I brought it up, because
Yeah,
Division
thank you.
also has St. Paul's,
Sure.
not just the public school.
thank you for that.
I'll throw them.
And so we'll move on, agenda items for next meeting, get to Terry, Jamie, or Matt. Next meeting would be October 6th at 5 o'clock. And I would look for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, section 1, subsection C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specific public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. We're talking about wages for the clerk, treasurer, public service director, police chief, and city administrator, and a public land sale. Moved by John.
Second.
Second by Midge. Roll call, please.
Pork,
Yes.
Swedberg,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Meverden,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Wortley.
Yes.
I know we talked about, do you want me to stay, or do you want to come in?
Let's get through that, and then we'll call you.
Yeah.
Okay?